Hey there, we're having some technical difficulties. Just want to confirm that everyone here can hear me. Um, X Society, just want to confirm, can you guys hear me?
Hearing you now, Satoshi. Hearing you now.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so we're still trying to get Nick up here. He's having some technical difficulties, it looks like, but I will get the space started for us here today, and then hopefully Nick will be able to join us in a minute here. I guess just to start it off, my name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the business development manager here with Satoshiverse and Apollo Entertainment, which is the company behind Satoshiverse. We've been building for the last 4 years now in the space. Starting out originally with a comic IP with Jose Delbo, who is an incredible comic book artist who worked with DC and Marvel for almost 7 decades, and other comic publishers as well. But basically took the IP that we built with him around Satoshi the Creator, which is this Bitcoin themed superhero, to build out the Satoshiverse, which is basically this Bitcoin themed superhero universe that we've been building for the last few years now. Our flagship game is Legions 2029. And we've been building this for the last couple of years. Really exciting. The game is currently free to play. It's a desktop game. It's kind of a hack and slash, rogue, dungeon crawler type game. It's really, really awesome. We have an awesome community who's been testing it out for us for the last few months, and we're keeping the game free, right now to get more feedback, and we're really, really excited about that. We have a bunch of really cool events going on, some different tournaments, a lot of different prizes that can be won by playing the game. So if you haven't already checked out Satoshiverse and Legions 2029, definitely go ahead and give that a check out. So it looks like we're still trying to get up one of our guests. But in the meantime, let's start off with our intros. And then I'm so sorry. I don't know the pronunciation, if it's Society or X Society, but you can let us know. But wondering if you give us a brief intro and let us know what you guys are building.
GM or GN, depending on where you are. But yes, so I'm Ryan, head of community for Society. So really easy. Just pronounce it like you would normally. But Society is the name. And what we're building is a AAA third-person shooter with RPG mechanics, focusing on unique player experiences. We've been building for around 2 and a bit years now. Some of that was quiet, some of that was loud, but what we've regularly been doing is letting players, community members get involved, access the game, access development slices as it happens. Right now, we're in the midst of beginning XCS, which is a brand new concept for ownership, player control, and community control across the Society platform. This is a concept where you, as a player or an owner, essentially can control part of the game world, be that through corporations. It all started with the idea of asking, why should an NPC in a game be the only one that essentially is rewarded for what they do? We've been really happy to get this going. We are actually having a surprise playtest in, let me do the calculations, in 5 hours. We're going to have a little micro playtest for our community. So if you haven't registered for that yet, get into the Society Discord, register up and get involved, see the proof of what we're building, and looking forward to a really good space today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the intro. So excited to hear about what you're building and excited to get more into it. Nick, do we have you back here?
I hope so. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you.
All right, good. Yeah, I'm on, I think my headphones had an issue. And then when I disconnected my headphones, it locked me out of sound for the rest of, the Twitter spaces. So that will be our host device for now, but I'll do the rest from this, second phone technology, guys. We're talking about building the future and, we can't even get these Twitter spaces to work. But anyways, I think we may have one more speaker we're trying to get up, but, I unfortunately didn't hear any of the first part, so I'll have to get up to speed. I've been checking out Society and what you guys are doing, and it looks awesome. So definitely excited to have you guys on. And I think we need to get, Igor
here.
Let's bring them up. Igor,
Igor is
you're here.
here.
I just don't see
Yeah,
you. All
I
right,
just
good.
got
Well,
in a
why don't you
second
guys?
ago.
Amazing. So I think it's, I'm just not seeing you on stage, but if you're here, you're here. So that
I'm
is
here.
good.
All
Good,
right.
good,
Yep,
good. So
I'm
why
hearing you
don't you?
too.
All right, awesome. Amazing. So why don't, please do give an introduction if you haven't already. Maybe I missed it.
No, I haven't done it yet. Guys, hello, my name is Igor. We're representing Arcana. And Arcana is not just about gaming. It's a metaverse. Actually, we coined the term metaverse quite long before Mr. Zuckerberg, in fact. So, but we are a platform which allows any content. People can use our platform to put their content, their AR content, into anywhere in the world with very high precision. And having our application say, if I put my objects from Tel Aviv to Beijing, people in Beijing can see my virtual objects or games in Beijing, wherever I put it. The mechanism we spread this, and we have a cryptocurrency built into the system, so you can actually buy the licenses for certain pieces of land, and that's how you build it. Speaking about gaming itself, what is a game? Everything is a game. If we think about games, traditional games as such, that's what we use, that's what we buy, and that's what we play. But then think of gamification of any kind of process, which is very popular these days. And we're mostly interested in games, but only part of it is about games, and another part is about everything else, which is also a game. So we are now, for example, we're building in augmented reality in a small city in Israel, which is going to be spread. This experience is going to be spread across other cities. So basically, to round it up, that's it.
Yeah, I love, oh, sorry.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love what you say there. I also have a very similar view about, what gaming is eventually going to evolve into, and we're already seeing it. And I think coming from the perspective of AR is, I don't think people realize how much AR is going to change the way that we interact on a day-to-day basis and moment to moment basis in our lives. And I think that thus far, a lot of what AR has been entertainment experiences, but I genuinely believe that within the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be so deeply integrated into our lives that it's going to feel, completely normal to see things in AR, and the possibilities for gamifying experiences, whether that's going to the mall and buying a t-shirt to, full-fledged Pokemon Go style games in AR. I think there's just going to be tremendous opportunity. So I'm actually really excited to dive into these things a bit deeper. Two very experienced panelists with different views. So this is going to be a good one. I think, Spencer, did you go into Satoshiverse a little bit, or?
Yeah. So I did an intro on, just on the company and all that. So,
Cool.
yeah. So I think it's time for me to kind of do my housekeeping stuff before we get
Amazing.
into the discussions.
Let's do it.
Cool. So, first thing that I'm going to do is announce our giveaway. So we do a giveaway every week on Satoshiverse. Let me find the link to that real quick. I lost it. Here, while I get that figured out, I'll explain the format of the space. So pretty much the format of the space, we're going to start out with a group question. Where I'm going to ask the question and call on someone to start, and then feel free to just jump into the discussion from there. And then we'll move into some individual questions for each of you guys. And then once we're done with that, we might have some time for more group questions again at the end. So here is the tweet that I wanted to post. So the tweet that I just posted to the top of the space that says "We're live." So that is our giveaway that we do every week. So we're giving away 5 Satoshi's crystals, which is one of the main in-game resources within Legions 2029. It allows you to upgrade your items and your avatars. Really, really essential resource within the game. So definitely something you want to have. In order to win your prize, all you have to do is repost that tweet that says "We're live," and then just be here at the end of the space when we finish up and call the winner. So good luck to everyone on that. and then let's jump into the questions. So Society, maybe we can have you start off on this one. So one of the recurring themes in Web3 gaming has been the concept of play to earn. So as we move towards a more sustainable model, how do we balance the concept of fun with financial incentives within Web3 gaming?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a big thing. I mean, when society, started going out there, started being vocal about what we were doing, we used to talk about the old sort of death spiral of unsustainable games where players would come in and all that would be the focus was repetitive action to extract token to then sell, which created a point where either it became too expensive to enter the ecosystem through owning an NFT, or a race to zero because the value of what you're extracting dilutes so much because everyone's doing that. And we've always taken the stance to put game first, to be very vocal about if you make a compelling experience for players that has rewards that make sense with, not to be too technical, but with clawbacks and with ways that players can use what they're earning in game to experience and enhance their experience, that is a sustainable model. You can already see this being developed in a lot of Web2 shooters and Web2 environments where in-game rewards are used to fuel battle passes or to fuel content expansions. That is a sustainable model. It still allows for people to have rewards and to extract and take what they want. And, we understand that people want to be rewarded for their time. We want to change the narrative of just developers being, rewarded or just streamers being rewarded. But you've got to give them killer content to play. You've got to give them fun, that exact word, fun. You've got to give them something that they want to play, regardless of whether or not they're actually being given a financial reward. We've been really lucky. In playtests that we've done back in February, July, last November as well, we've been giving out a soulbound token equivalent. And, this is a token that right now, just once you've got it, you can't actually trade it. But we do have promises for it to convert into usage and future usage. And we've still seen high player retention because of the mechanics. We've put in content where players are actually caring about the gameplay that they're playing. We've done this through extraction modes. We've done this through PvP, deathmatch. We've done this through convoy modes. All this range of content where we're actually giving you a compelling reason to play a highly polished game that allows you to earn. In our second playtest back in February of this year, players could use what they earned to give themselves a quick way of getting weaponry and items. So an actual usage in game that was valued above just extraction. And we know that this works for players. We know that it works from not just us going, hey, this looks like it works, but from feedback from players. We've also had traditional gamers test, and the feedback they've given is the play loop is exciting, the play style is exciting, the content is exciting. We know that it's the way to go forwards, because at the end of the day, if all you're doing is creating an extraction point, it doesn't end up being fun because people are intelligent. They work out the fastest way of doing X, Y, and Z. And then you're not really playing a game. You're kind of playing a glorified spreadsheet, essentially, is the potential negative you can say. So yeah, compelling gameplay experiences, obvious and exciting usage of what you're being earned to enhance that gameplay. And then with something extra on top like we have, which is XCS, we're very excited to give that even more opportunity for you to take what potential rewards you're having in game to give you control of the narrative. Owning XCS in particular, companies and society will let you dictate things like what tournaments come up, which weapons are on sale, skins that might be limited. Are they limited in time? Are they limited in number? This is things that you as an owner of this corporation can decide through classic DAO methodology and everything like that. But the way you get on there is currently through NTX, and when the game is live will be through what you own, what you earn through playing. So your funnel is to come back in, to invest the time back into the game, to invest back into giving an experience that's better, and then eventually giving you control of how this game is servicing gameplay modes, etc., etc. Again, it lets you focus up on the fun, funnel those rewards back into fun. The longevity of the game project continues, and the community base and the player base is all hopefully extended and kept, because players are invested in what they're doing and they're reinvesting what rewards they receive into that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think you put it very well. So I'll try to kind of come at it from a slightly different angle. When I think about this, and when I got involved in the Web3 space in 2017, I was thinking about, games and how we were going to use this technology in games, blockchain. Coming from the perspective of someone who was big Diablo player, big RuneScape player, and wasn't actually a huge real money fan, right? Like I was probably part of the majority when Diablo 3 put in the real money auction house that thought that broke a lot of the game mechanics that were in there. And, I think there were valuable lessons to learn from that, particularly as we develop Web3 games. But I think as we start to move away from tokens are this speculative asset, and by playing the game you can earn the token, which has been honestly the model that's persisted probably since 2021. And when we start to move more into, hey, you can actually have a piece of the value that this game creates, things look very differently, right? And so my view has always been that sustainable earning, quotes around earning within a game, all comes down to how we divide up, the value pie, right? And so typically in Web 2 space, the value pie is largely given to the game developer, right? A game developer spends a bunch of money, publishers spend a bunch of money, they create a game, that game is sold, there's in-game purchases, you pay money for things in the game, you get fun, they get money, right? And so in the Web3 space, we're talking about carving that pie up differently. And sometimes it really does make sense, because a lot of these projects that we're seeing are community funded, or at least some aspect of it is community funded. So it makes sense to carve up that pie differently. But ultimately, the only sustainable thing that a game can offer is the value that it creates, in my mind, or the value that the game, by providing tools to creators, allows creators to create. At the end of the day, though, the question for me is, who gets which portion of that value? And so I think Web3 offers us a lot of vehicles for both driving the funding of that value creation and also for divvying up that pie once we get to a point where the game is actually creating value. But I think that largely lends itself to some of the things you were saying, right? Games are not going to inherently create value or be valuable unless they present an experience that people have fun with, people want to play, people get attached to the items, they value the items because those items give them a more positive experience when they play the game. It lets them, show off to their friends when they're playing the game, shows that they're an OG, whatever it might be. That value creation is by, it's part the game developer and it's part the community and the players that are doing that value creation. And then ultimately, Web3 acts as a mechanism for, distributing that value back to the player. But I think on the flip side, what that means is we have to create valuable games. We have to create games that inherently have some value, or we have to create value in other ways. And so, I think that we look at, play to earn right now through a very confined lens, which is kind of the lens that, some of the more successful games like Axie in the early days and things like that presented to us. And I think with hindsight, we know that those models probably won't work in the future. But we're still seeing, a lot of that being done with some of these clicker games on TON, for example. So I don't think it's gone. I think that, there's still definitely people playing games that inherently don't create value, but are incentivized in some way to speculate. And I think we're going to have that for a while. But I think when we talk about sustainability, we're talking about value creation. And once you have value, there's a way to divide up that value. And so for me, that's the equation. I think the one side note I would say is that there's probably a slightly different approach in competitive gaming. So for example, the top players in the world in esports can make quite a bit of money in a sustainable way around all the peripherals that surround gaming, whether that's sponsorships or what have you. And I think Web3 games can be just as competitive and lend themselves to esports as anything else. In fact, I think you can do it in a decentralized way at a much more localized level. And I think that could also end up driving sustainable value propositions. But those are games, we've seen some like kill to win type of models or kill to earn type of models where everybody pays $1. There's 10 players. Whoever has the most kills, will get the pod, or you get $1 for every kill. I mean, these are simplified examples, but those types of models are of course sustainable because if the game can support it, they have, the numbers make sense, right? There's a lot of games where the numbers don't make sense and they're built up on this speculation around a token, and that doesn't always work. And so yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a rant, but that's how I kind of think about it. But I will double down and say society. I think you hit the nail on the head. So I was just kind of dancing around what you said.
Yeah, no, I like your point about esports and high skill players and high skill tournaments. That's obviously a way that Web3 can help facilitate a more traditional, more simplistic model of, hey, play and earn. You can do that through ladder play and through collective gameplay modes where everyone enters in and stumps up and the winner gets X, Y, and Z. But that old exit point can rear its head there. But if it's a small pool of players taking a large value because of extraction through gameplay and through a high competitive level, it is essentially an esports, and it makes very much a lot of sense there. So I really like that point.
Igor, what do you think?
Igor, it looks like you're on mute.
Guys, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Hello?
Yeah, we do.
Now I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, somehow got muted. So anyway, I have a lot of thoughts and I'm just thinking of what to start with. I like very much the equation which has been expressed by the previous speakers, and I want to set up a little bit of boundary condition. There is physical world where people play soccer, they play rugby, they play different other games, tennis, whatever it is, right? There is this virtual world where people play anything from Dungeons and Dragons to the world of tanks and everything, right? And there's a split between these two. So is our life. We work in a physical space or not so physical space and then play a game. Augmented reality is a bridge. When you have a space where you can play and work and do your hobbies, that solves the problem of in-game purchases, because the money, the currency, in any way which you can use there might be earned to you at work, spent in the game, or for hobby. And this will become something like a real universe where physical world and virtual world bridge together by augmented reality. And that is actually essentially the aim of Web3, as far as 3.0, as far as I understand. In Arcana, we have several layers where you can do this in-game earnings. The first layer is you set up a game and then people play it somewhere in a space where they can put on the gear and they can participate in the game. Second level is business. Business is a game as well. So if you move part of your business into this 3D, into this augmented reality space, be it advertising or virtually anything else, or education or other types of content, it becomes also a game. And then of course another layer is tokens. Because whenever you touch upon the augmented reality, are linked to a certain physical place. When you are in a certain physical place, you can own the digital layer of the land on top of this physical place, and that's how you work with your tokens. Imagine the world where lands are grouped by businesses, games, and imagine that these lands have different value. Some places very well developed, lots of people play games there, so good place to locate your business. And the other way around. So for me, augmented reality is first and foremost a bridge which unites the universe around us. I can tell you about one application we played with. There is a concept that if you learn a foreign language, it's better to be done in situations. Like shopping is one of the situations. So we created a shopping mall application where you walk and you have a shopping list. So you fetch stuff. And it's a virtual shopping mall in a real space. You fetch some stuff, but you have to answer some language questions. The trick is that you come to the cash register, you pay real money with your credit card, and the food which you've purchased in this virtual mall gets delivered to your place. So this is a bridge where you do real transactions in virtual or augmented world. These opportunities are unprecedented. People just don't realize that gaming is part of our life and our life is part of gaming. Whatever brings you more dopamine is a game. And again, I don't put any difference in between business and a game in this context. So that is basically my position, and that's what we are going to achieve at Arcona.
Yeah, I think that that's such a good point. And I guess kind of going back to what I was saying before about value creation, the potential for value creation is immense in the AR space. And I think entire new lines of businesses are going to spring up, right? Just from the implementation of AR technology. I guess one of the things. Go ahead. Yeah.
Can I just add to take you from this point, right? What is important? In-game money works when there is a flow of fiat, right? From somewhere. If you limit this flow of fiat to just what the players pay to play or pay for licensing the game, something like this, it's one case. But when you have different flows of fiat around the AR applications, some of them are businesses, some of them are games, the value creation becomes much more universal and much fuller.
100%. And what I was going to ask and kind of comment was, I spent 6 years before I got into this space as a lawyer in the IP industry. And one of the things that has kind of fascinated me about AR is this conceptualization of ownership of, digital airspace, right? And I think that, as I'm hearing you talk about this, and I've spoken to some other founders of Web3 projects and other projects that are building AR metaverses, it constantly is a theme for me of, who really owns the space that we are going to one day fill with ads, fill with turn-by-turn guidance. Are we going to look at digital airspace as an ownable right? And is that going to be an exclusive right, or is it going to be, limited to a particular environment, right?
That's an excellent point, because many systems may have their own digital lands which are overlapping, right? And you own your piece of land, digital land, within one system, say, for example, Arcona or something else, but you have no rights for the same piece of physical land in other digital implementation. And then a competition may start. Who is better? Who is faster? Whose land is more expensive? Whose land grows in value?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting.
You remember how Mark Twain put it? He said, buy land, they don't make it anymore. Well, in this case, we do make it. So we just expand, so to say, real estate market to unprecedented sizes.
Yeah, it
Using
sounds
different
like
systems.
I'm so sorry that I keep interrupting you. It's my sound keeps cutting out. I didn't intend to interrupt you.
No, I am sorry that I'm interrupting you now. So I'm basically done.
No, I think it was just that the sound was going in and out, and I had thought you finished. But
Mhm.
I totally agree with your point. I think, it's going to be funny to see as this happens, the race, I guess, to, in my mind, it's the race to be acquired by Apple or the race to be acquired by Android, right? Because ultimately, I think that
Or to acquire Apple.
or to acquire Apple, yeah, put the hardware out there. But I think at the end of the day, whoever owns the hardware is going to create that software, or at least purchase that software that ends up in everybody's hands, or in this case, in everybody's eyeballs, right? So I think it's going to be interesting to see, and I've always been optimistically skeptical, I guess, about this concept of land ownership in an AR metaverse, but it's so cool to see that you guys have been grappling with this for a long time, because I think it's a perfect application of Web3. As soon as we, I think collectively as a society understand what AR is going to be and figure out that there are
Absolutely.
these things, it's going to be great. We always say here that right now a lot of what we're doing is the experimentation that needs to be done. We're making the mistakes that one day will become the standards, right? And so I think that
Mhm.
it's cool when we can see that, whether they're mistakes or whether they're ultimately going to be the standards. I think
Yeah,
right
so
now is where we have this
critical
opportunity to do it.
critical mass is slowly but gradually building, and at a certain moment, as in nuclear explosions, it's going to be kaboom, and everybody's going to be there.
100%. Well, I'll kick it back to Spencer to take us into the individual questions, but I could talk about this stuff all day.
Awesome.
Sure.
Thank you, Nick. So let's do our first individual question to Igor. So what impact do you foresee augmented reality having on the gaming and metaverse space in the coming years?
Again, I'm the adept of the concept of a bridge. I remember first AR game which I came across. This was the game called Highlander. Maybe you remember it. You have an application, you are a Highlander, and as you know, there must be only one Highlander in the world. So you walk around and suddenly you spot another Highlander. Your task is to kill him before he kills you. Very simple graphics. But it is, again, this bridge where you see things and you do things virtual in the world, which is physical. Well, you don't kill him physically, of course. But in my opinion, Metaverse as a separate entity from real world has no right to exist. Well, it does have right to exist, but then we're in the matrix. But the solution to come out of the matrix, or be partly in the matrix, partly outside in the physical world, which has lots of joys and lots of good things to offer as well, that is where augmented reality comes in. I remember, for example, one of the applications we did in early days of Arcona, when we just did like custom projects, mostly recreating historical values, recreating historical sites. And there is a forgotten place in Latvia, in Europe, in the Baltics, where there are ruins of the castle. Teutonic, it's like Knights Templar castle, basically. It's in ruins, and we recreated it in its glory. So you watch it through your tablet, or you watch it through your phone. Very simple technology, no helmets, no gear, just like this. And you see this castle as it was. 10 times increase in tourism after this application has been up. And this is real space, because real people come to see that. Real people come to spend money in this place, so it was a great boost to local economy. Another funny case we had, by the way, there is a very sad story about the road of life. When the city of Leningrad in Russia was besieged by Germans, 1 million people died, and the only route to big land was across the ice of the Ladoga Lake. So we recreated this, and a very, very big shock from the government came to watch it. He watched it through the very simple cardboard gear, and he fell on his back because he was attacked by a bomber, which was coming from virtual space, of course, augmented reality. So impressions of the real world, enhanced by many times by the augmented reality, will give unprecedented experiences. And it's both tourism, it's study of history, it's education, a lot of things. One of the projects we touch upon, but unfortunately is now too big for us, is to recreate the Silk Route, which is coming across many countries all the way from China to Italy, and to recreate objects which were at the Silk Route. Imagine how big the impression is going to be to the tourists which come to any site of this and see how the camels went, how things worked, how people ate, how people traded, and all this. Enhancing the physical, and of course bridging other way around. So when you come from the gaming space, come to physical world, and augmented reality may help you to balance between these two. That is probably, in my opinion, the role of AR in the whole idea of metaverse. Again, metaverse should be together with the universe, together with physical space we're living in, not apart.
I'm really interested in that. Sorry,
oh yeah,
did it again. I'm really interested in that point. I have to say, it's funny because I know that that's your world, and I'm hugely bullish on AR. I think AR is going to change the world. I think everything you said is spot on. I guess one of the things I'm curious about though is this kind of what you're saying about metaverse being attached to the real world. And I think it should be. And I think that my conception of metaverse also includes that. But I think my conception of the metaverse also includes a place for VR, right? Which to me kind of takes AR to a place where we're no longer limited by physical bounds. And I know you can do that a bit in AR. But I wonder,
of course.
I wonder if VR still, I think it's going to be slower, but I think that ultimately VR is going to let us experience things that aren't possible in the real world. So I'm just curious to prod a little bit deeper on how does VR kind of fit into that thesis of, the metaverse being married to the real world?
Yeah, I said it at the very beginning, a bridge. Virtual reality has a lot of interesting values. It can give you experiences you can never have in the real world, right? But it is it's kind of dangerous to break apart physical world from virtual world. You have to have a seamless connection. You have to have a continuous path from one world to another, and that's where AR comes into mind. I would never say that virtual reality and games in virtual reality will be totally replaced by AR. I'm thinking of the unity of the world, where AR, VR, and physics all work together. If you want to get away from it all, go to virtual space, fight in space. If you want to have physics, like go play tennis, go play ping pong, and in the middle you may walk through something mixed. From one place to another. Walk out of your spaceship to soccer field. Without leaving metaverse.
Absolutely.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm pausing intentionally when you stop talking, just because I don't want to cut you off.
Maybe I'm too romantic in this, but
No.
that's what I strongly believe.
I think you're right. I totally agree. All right, Spencer, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Moving on to society's individual question. So how do you see creator economies and user-generated content evolving in the Web3 gaming space?
I think one of the key word we would use when talking about UGC and creator economies is fairness. I already touched on earlier about old models of people benefiting from Web2 games, from TAD games, traditional gaming, where the value is always given to, a small group of individuals, a streamer, the company itself. With Web3, with the ability to actually own an item, to have the rights for resale, for the rights for, a percentage of sell when another person that's bought it originally sells on. If you're the creator, it really opens up some unique opportunities. Adding to that, the rise of customization and tools for players and modders in the traditional sense of modding games and creating economies, we know that this is an appetite that people have. One of the largest revenue sources for a lot of traditional online games is mod content. Even adding not traditional mod content, but role play experience in GTA Online is incredibly popular. And if you own the server that people are role playing on, or you own the access world, this is a chance for you to have a much more democratized, rewarding aspect for you as a creator, a player, a member of the community, what have you. For us, we see it as a really easy way to onboard players, where you can create items that can be sold and items that can be owned and traded. And it's not just about people owning an item and trading that item in game. If people want to own your item for the sake of it looking good as an NFT, you also have the ability to be rewarded there through trade and fees. Then we add in that XCS content, where it may not be viewed right now as traditional sort of creator economies, but if you are part of a group that owns a controlling stake of, say, the tournament company within society, and are setting tournament rules and entrance fees and prize pools and percentage back for, keeping that ecosystem alive, that's a really powerful avenue for you. Okay, you might not be making a brand new weapon or a brand new skin, but what you're actually making is an experience. You're dictating the rules of play. You're dictating a competitive experience for a player. That's just as valuable in a long format for the game world and for a healthy ecosystem. So there's a lot of exciting stuff. The UGC that gets us excited is where players have unique access and experience to content based on other NFT ownership or other project ownership. We kind of have touching experiences of this, where in our current game, we have a casual mode called Pudgies, which, as you may guess, is based on the Pudgy Penguin IP, where in a more fleshed out early access mode, you could be seeing that experience open to you as a holder. Now, okay, that sounds great for just the guys that own the NFT, but if you invite people in with you, bring in players with you as friends, by partying with you, they get access to that content so long as they own the party. That gives you a value, that gives you an ability to show off unique content through ownership of other items, other projects, and eventually, hopefully onboard other players into those other projects as well through a gameplay mode. So it's a lot of exciting things. The creator economies is really gets interesting, like I say, when we think to XCS and corporates and corporation shares and how that changes the narrative of what you impact in game, what you contribute to a game, and how you get rewarded for doing it. So I think there's a lot of good experience. You can still have incredibly powerful experiences through, traditional content creation in the forms of let's plays, videos, showing off skills and tips and tricks, but through a system of basically being, your own item that you've created in game. If you're always playing with that weapon or that skin, you can then have a secondary avenue for people to represent you in game, represent you in mode, as a secondary way of, hey, not essentially selling, but of being rewarded for entertainment through people purchasing skins to support you through the game mechanic. And it can be a lot more democratized when we get into it actually being traditional mods rather than sponsorships. Tim the Tatman might be an amazing player and might have amazing skins in certain games, but his skins had to be created by the team. If you could create your own skin to represent you as a small-time streamer and have a community that want to purchase it through the game, that is something that changes the narrative. And that's where UGC and mod tools and everything really gets powerful as well.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that was very well put. I think the only thing that I would add, which is, I think, probably my thesis on how Web3 eventually becomes like the key driver of the digital asset economy, is that, through Web3, we have this decentralized authentication method, right? We have this ability to look at people's wallets and say, hey, this person owns this thing. We also are starting to move towards ways of accessing metadata, right? I think right now the metadata standards surrounding NFTs are not good enough, and I think they're getting better. I think eventually we'll have ways of accessing, core assets much more easily. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when you look at an NFT, you have a picture of something or you have a video of something, but you don't always have a usable game asset that could be called by a third party server in a decentralized way. I think we're going to get there. And I think what that is going to open up is kind of the extension of what you were talking about, right? Where a creator can create a skin in a certain standard or maybe in two standards and sell that skin to people completely detached from any particular experience that it would be used in, but then that people can use those skins in various different experiences and maintain their appearance and identity across different metaverses, right? Or different games or different ecosystems. And I think as we start to see mobile devices get stronger on the hardware side, and as we start to see internet more readily available, and as we start to see standards for rigs and 3D objects and polygon counts start to become more and more streamlined within game engines, I think what we're really going to have is a world where Web3 enables not necessarily a collaboration between, let's say, Epic and DC or Warner for a Superman skin inside of Fortnite, but we'll see a direct-to-consumer Superman skin that can be used in Fortnite, that could be used in PUBG, in CSGO, whatever it is, like all these different games that could, in theory, accept these skins as a standard, and maybe they'll look different depending on the game that they're in. But that this will be part of you going to a store and buying a digital skin or an identity or whatever. Maybe that skin presents an AR in, the metaverse, and that could be a totally different thing. But I think that from a UGC standpoint, what that's going to do is it's just going to completely change the way we think about opportunities for digital creation, right? Because some designer could create a avatar that's a one-of-one avatar, and that avatar can be an incredible work of art. And some, Eminem might purchase that avatar and be able to walk around anywhere they want in the metaverse, and that's how they're going to appear when people see that person. And it doesn't have to be tied to a specific game. Now, like I was saying, I think we have a long way to go from a technical standpoint to get to that level of interoperability. And I think that is the thing. But really where I see Web3 coming in, apart from how you guys are using it, because I actually think it's a really interesting, different use case for UGC and how Web3 is integrated. But I think that when we start to talk about assets being used across different experiences and interoperability, Web3 becomes fundamental and changes the way that we're going to think about what digital assets can do.
Yeah, I was just sat back listening to a lot of sense, in honesty. I was just sitting there nodding, agreeing, and then realizing I got a response. So I can't just sit here and nod. I have to make that agreement known. Yeah. That concept of creating a unique asset that is in, several different formats, one or two formats that are used across game engines, Unreal 5, et cetera, et cetera, and having it be able to rep you in multiple games, or having it be able to be used by others to represent themselves or your micro community across other communities. That's really exciting. That's really appealing. I mean, we all belong to fandoms for various different reasons of different things. I sit here as a Man United fan in soccer, in football, and repping that across different ecosystems right now would require purchasing X, Y, and Z in all different ways. But if I want to represent the fan group that I'm part of, that's something that's comparable or is possible through that creation system, through that new avenue of UGC. And it's exciting because it's something different. It's a different community. It's a different ethos. It's a different idea, but I can bring it into the worlds that I'm already active in. I can bring it into the worlds that I want to be active in. So yeah, a really interesting idea. And I might go and steal some developer time tomorrow to be like, hey, this is something we should really be focusing on.
Yeah, and I think, more power to you guys if you do it. I think it's going to, when we eventually get there, it's going to change the way we think about digital assets. It's this principle is what originally got me excited about NFTs when I was working as an IP lawyer in 2017 and ultimately left the firm because of this principle, this idea that NFTs make digital assets tangible. And for digital assets to be tangible, there's expectations, there's ownership principles that we expect with tangible physical assets. There are licensing principles from a legal perspective to what you can do with IP. Like, for example, your Manchester United, IP, what you can do, where you can take it. There's decades of laws that lay all of these things out that aren't currently applied to digital assets. And without going too deep down the rabbit hole, no one's going to tell you you can't take your Manchester City hoodie or t-shirt or jersey and wear it wherever you want. Even, a Man City bar, you might get some booze, but legally you're allowed to wear that shirt inside of of a rival or whatever it might be. So, the same should one day, once it's technically possible, apply to digital assets. And I do believe that eventually we're going to get there. It's just a matter of technology and legal infrastructure being built for those types of deals to happen. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that world. I think it's going to create entire new markets for creators.
Can I add a couple of words?
Go ahead.
Hello? It's really interesting that you brought it up, but the NFT mechanism actually allows things to have history. A lot of things hobbyists they buy for history of the thing. The picture itself is not so interested, but there's a history attached to it, or jewels, or weapons. Imagine a weapon which is sold first in a certain game, and it was gloriously fought by a famous fighter. This weapon may be purchased by another person, which will purchase it not because it's a very nice weapon, but because it was a great success in the hands of somebody else. And then it can move between games, gaining or losing value depending on how strong or how weak were the fighters which used it. So the history which you buy with a certain item might at a certain point in time become even more important than the item itself.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
That's it.
I think you see that in digital art quite often, right? I think we've seen that that even in this short period of Web3 enabled digital art, we see pieces take on their own meaning and significance, and I think the same could be said about game items and especially aesthetics, where just like we collect fine clothing or fine, it could be a a hat that was worn, at a championship game. It might not even have value attached to its usefulness. It might just have value attached to an aesthetic component with an event. The fact that it can be identified
Absolutely.
is important.
Historic.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think that, that's one of the other
Absolutely.
unique things that some NFTs do. And I do think sometimes, NFTs, I think we sometimes make a little bit more of them than they actually are. I think there are some applications of NFTs that are, absolutely on the nose that, they're historical and all that. But then I think there's other types of NFTs where it's basically just a fungible token with a picture on it and you don't have all that history. And I think that we're going to need to get to better standards for NFTs as well and how they're used in order to accomplish some of these use cases that you're talking about. But 100%, I think the potential for uniqueness is something that's particular, as you talk about NFTs and digital assets and how they relate. So yeah, that verifiability of uniqueness, I think is key. But, all right. So I want to jump back to Spencer because I think we got to close this awesome discussion out. I know we have a contest winner and then, we can move towards the end of the space.
Yes, thank you, Nick. So the winner of our giveaway today for 5 Satoshi's crystals is Underworld, or at Dogma Cats. Congratulations on your prize. If you don't already have a Satoshiverse account, please go to game.legions2029.com and make a free account, and then go ahead and send us a DM with your username. Thanks so much, and I'll pass it back to Nick to close this out.
Well, I can tell you for certain that Dogma Cats does have a Satoshiverse account and will know exactly the value of Satoshi's crystals within the universe. Congratulations to someone who shows up all the time and is in the Discord all the time, one of our friends at this point, and a member of the 100. Good job, Underworld. Thanks for joining as always. All right. So yeah, let's jump into our closing remarks. So I wasn't able to present in the beginning, but I would love to give you the 30-second version about what we're building. We've got our game Legions 2029. We've been building it for the last 2.5 years. It is free to play. It is a PC game, high fidelity, really focused on having a fun and engaging, fast-paced experience. A lot of the combat was inspired by God of War. It has a hack and slash combat mechanic with a roguelike game loop with progression that is stored in the NFT metadata. So you've got a lot of different genres kind of mixing together to come and create this beginning of a awesome experience that we have been building for a long time. The key is that it's free to play, so there's no downside in trying it out. I've got a post at the top of the spaces here that gives you all the information you will need, including how to participate in Season 1, which has lots of prizes for different tournaments that we're doing, and there's a free battle pass that you can complete and win NFTs. So really just exciting times in Satoshiverse. Definitely thank you to all of the speakers, and thank you to all of the guests who showed up here live. Once you guys give a little outro, I will wrap up the spaces. There's a slight delay between us and what the audience hears, so I'll take 30 seconds. But before we do that, I want to take a second to wish our very important and key member of the team, Lau, our community manager, a happy birthday. Her birthday is going to be tomorrow, so definitely someone I know the Satoshiverse loves, and so we appreciate everything you do. Happy birthday tomorrow. Happy early birthday. Yeah, let's give it over to our guests to, give a couple statements. How can people find you if they want to get involved, and anything else you want to close with? Maybe we'll start with society and then go over to Igor. And then I'll wrap up the spaces. Thank you all again so much. It was an awesome discussion.
Well, the only thing to really say is make sure you're following us here on X. Get involved in the community. We're society official across everything. If you want to get in and get playing, we literally have the game being open for a 4-hour window in 4 hours. So that's quite a nice bit of symmetry. So get into the Discord, register up to play. If you don't know how to register for play, just shout out in the general. Someone will guide you. You'll be able to play within 4 hours. We'll be having, rewards and gameplay experiences. We've actually got a little bit of sneaky new stuff, new animations, new content for players to get their hands on and experience, even if they've played before. And right now, as I said, right at the beginning of the space, we are doing the road to XCS, the Society Corporate Shares. Get involved. This is kind of a new thing we're doing, a new way of looking at ownership and control for games. And you're not late. You're early. It's still really early in that journey. And it doesn't matter if you've got NTX. It doesn't matter if you've got a Frontier avatar or not. You've got time to get in. You've got time to get this new way of controlling a game share and basically getting yourself into the most rewarding parts of society. So again, follow up on the X, join the Discord, and just start asking questions. Everything's happening right now. It's the perfect time to get involved and hopefully see a few of you playing with us later in about 4 hours' time.
Over to you, Igor. I'm not hearing you right now.
All right, guys. It was very nice to talk to you and listen to all these ideas you've developed. The key word is singularity. We're approaching singularity with all these AR, Metaverse, Web3 things. And we really don't know where we're going to end up, but the opportunities are going to be endless. So keep eyes open, keep yourself open to opportunities, and watch our corner. We're a small one. We're going to explode anytime soon. That's it. All the best to you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to our guests again, and thank you to everyone who joined. We will be here again next week at the same time. So please do give the Hideout account a follow and join us next week if you enjoyed this. We're coming up on episode 100 in 2 weeks. So 100 weeks that we've been doing this for. Really amazing to see that it's still going and how time has flown. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you all soon at the next Spaces. Thank you, and have a good morning, night, evening, wherever you are. Have a good one. Bye.